Hi there. Thank you so much for coming out, y'all. This is a platform squared. We are the Carters. I'm Kyla Carter.
It's Wendell Carter Jr.
Wendell Carter Sr.
And we are thrilled to be able to come together with our non-for-profit foundation. A platform squared we expect it to meet a need in our community. We are looking to service our community and service people that look like Wendell with educational, financial resources, as well as service social injustice and increased education on all fronts, and of course, um, on all fronts for all children.
Yeah. And I just want to take a quick dive into what exactly a platform squared is. So me and my mom was always talking about starting a nonprofit, and we kept going back and forth as to what the model of a platform squared would be, and we came up with using my platform to educate kids that look like me on what exactly being a professional means. Where I come from, a lot of kids think that sports is the only way out of where we come from. And, I use this example all the time that if it wasn't for basketball, I would still be a professional, and I just want to be able to teach that to kids that, basketball and football is definitely a great goal to have, make it to the NFL, the NBA, or anything, all that is all achievable. But I want y'all to understand that, as much as it is achievable, it can all be taken from you from one injury or one thing going bad. It can all be taken away from you. But I know one thing that can't be taken away from you is what's inside your mind. So I just want to be able to continue to teach the kids, continue to teach all you guys that you can all be a professional. It's not all about shooting a basketball or throwing a football. You can all be a professional. So that's kind of what we want to push in front of everybody, want everybody to understand. So that's kind of what our motto and our goal is for Platform Square.
Okay, and part of this segment is the clinic, basketball clinic for youth. There is a process, learning how to dribble, learning how to shoot, playing defense. And whether it's everybody's not going to make it to professional ranks, at least you have the tools to attend a 4-year college, 2-year college, get an education, and probably earn a scholarship. So those are these are some of the tools that we're going to be exhibiting to understand the process of getting to where you want to be.
All right, we're looking forward to getting this clinic started and you guys hanging out with us for about an hour, and we will entertain all of your questions and offer any comments that we can to help you during this time.
What's going on, y'all? Wendell Carter Jr. from the Chicago Bulls. I hope you all out there staying safe. Unfortunately, I'm not able to be there with y'all today. I am with y'all in spirit. Today, we're just gonna warm up a little bit, get the bones loose, and we're gonna get after it. Let's get it. First, we're gonna start with a little stretch. Get the legs nice and wide. We're gonna do 10 seconds to each side. You can go longer, 10 seconds if you need to. Just make sure the legs are nice and loose. Next, we're going to do some toe touches, get the hamstrings nice and loose. Go down, go as far down as you can. Hold it for as long as you need. Next, we got calf stretches. Get the calves nice and loose
get started. Find any wall you're able to apply a little pressure to. Keep the back foot nice and flat. Just push against the wall. You should feel it stretch right behind there. Give it about 10, 15 seconds each side. Now we all stretched out, we're ready to go. We're gonna get to some dribbling drills. Of course, you get basketball. First drill we got is an in and out cross. We're gonna go continue to see you get 15 of them in a row. Next drill we got is some cross between. We're gonna do 10 each side, just like this. We're gonna do that 10 times each side. On the next drill, we got the between behind cross. We're gonna do it continuous till you get 15 of them clean. We're gonna try to keep your hand up while you're doing this. It's gonna be a little tough. Save the best for last. So last drill of the night, I got defensive spots. So defense is a huge component to winning basketball games. So I feel like if all of y'all have the 8-yard game, I'm gonna be all winners. Let's do it. For this drill, we're gonna do 2 defensive slots to the right, 2 defensive slots to the left. We're gonna continue to do it till you get 10 total, 5 each way. If you want to challenge yourself, time yourself. See how fast you can do it. See if you can beat me. Ready? Go. First, we're going to start with a little stretch. Get the legs nice and wide. We're going to do 10 seconds each side. You can go longer than 10 seconds if you need to. Just make sure the legs are nice and loose. Next, we're going to do some toe touches with the hamstrings nice and loose. Go down as far down as you can. Hold it for as long as you need. Alright, next, we got calf stretches. Get the calves nice and loose before we get started. Find any wall you're able to apply a little pressure to. Keep the back foot nice and flat. Just push against the wall. You should feel a stretch right behind there. Give it about 10, 15 seconds each side.
Now we'll transfer over to our panel. Christine will take it over.
I'm Christine Williamson. I'm excited to get the panelist portion of the event going, but I'm going to start off by letting you guys kind of introduce yourself and give a little bit of your background. Mrs. Carter, if you don't mind starting us off with that.
Sure thing. I am Wendell's mom, and I play basketball through our high school and college Division I at the University of Mississippi. I graduated from there and got my master's from there. And from there, I was fortunate enough to work at the airport for years in computer technology and computer science, which I really enjoyed. And then things began to change. We finished projects, and then I got to be a full-time mom to my 10th grader. So it worked out. It was a great transition. I learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to sharing all that I've learned and all that I know with you guys.
I'm Wendell Carter Jr. Play for the Chicago Bulls. From Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, I think that's all I need to say.
Hi, everybody. I'm Anthony Fields. I'm the Vice President of Vanguard Sports, and I'm one of Wendell's representatives, but I have a kind of unique story. I'm not in the NBA, but I did have kind of the same dreams and aspirations as some of these kids on this Zoom, and that's Wendell. But, you know, God had a different path for me. I played college ball at Bradley University, got a sports communications degree. Later went on to get a master's at Liberty University, and really didn't know what I wanted to do, right? I knew that basketball had been taken away from me, but now I had to lean on my education. So my first job out of college, I was an operations assistant at Texas A&M, and did a lot of, you know, our recruiting database, our film breakdown, and really working with a lot of the players. A light bulb kind of hit me, and I decided to get into this business, and I took a lot of different avenues before getting to where I'm at now. But now I lead, guide, and counsel NBA players like Wendell, and I'm extremely blessed.
Hey everybody, I'm Luke Fedlam. So basketball was always a dream, and when I say a dream, I mean it was like a far off dream. Skills weren't there. I probably should have done some more of those videos that Wendell put out earlier. I should have practiced a little bit more. But I went to Wake Forest University. I ran track at Wake, and I went to Ohio State for law school. I'm an attorney, so I'm a lawyer. I work with professional athletes because I lead our firm's sports law practice. So I work with NFL players, NBA players, hockey, baseball, both in the US and around the world, really on helping to make sure that they stay protected. So even though I wasn't able to take my basketball dreams to any level, I was at least able to continue to work in a career that allows me to work with athletes.
That's awesome. I mean, Wendell said it. If he wasn't a professional basketball player, he'd be a professional still. So you guys certainly represent that across the board. So let's start off by asking Mrs. Carter, what is your definition of leadership? And then we can just go down the line with everybody else's.
My definition of leadership would be an individual that is an eternal learner, it will learn always open to learning, and a individual that has been a great follower.
Yeah, I would kind of piggyback off of her. I feel like a great leader has to be a great follower at first. So I feel like someone who is following the right crowd, has the right people around them, and is picking up the right tendencies from his friends and family, and be able to use that in their lives. So I feel like a great leader was once a great follower. So.
I would say a selfless leader is somebody that's able to guide. And as we're talking about sports, your habits are very important. Do you show up on time? Do you finish every sprint? Right? Do you get in extra time with the coaches? And for me, and through my path, I always try to lead by example. So I think leadership is based on how you guide others.
Yeah, I would just agree with what everyone else has said. I always looked at leadership as being able to encourage, motivate, and guide others to do things that they wouldn't otherwise do for themselves without your involvement. And so I had the opportunity to spend time in the military. I was an infantry officer for about 9 years. And in the military, we always talked about the values that make up leadership. And so I'll just share them briefly with you: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. And so I think if you think about those as those values and those attributes, when you apply those in your life, you're a leader.
I love it. I'll ask this question for Mrs. Carter. What words of wisdom did you give Wendell to set him up to be a leader?
The words of wisdom, there were so many words. I'm sure you would agree that I gave it. As I think back on the ones that I guess I hope were most impactful, is service, courage, and kindness. Yeah, those are the words that I hope stuck with him the most. And as well as, it is so important that you continue to learn. Never think you know it all. Never think you've got it all, or be a continual learner. And that's about it.
Wendell, if you were to go back in time to 10-year-old you, what piece of wisdom would you give yourself?
If I was to go back to my 10-year-old self, I think the first thing I would tell him is enjoy your childhood. It doesn't last forever. Enjoy every day, live in the moment. Don't look too much into the future. Just enjoy every day as it comes. I would tell him to stay patient, stay very patient. Everything will happen when it needs to happen. God has a plan for you, and continue to work hard. I feel like those three things, I feel like I did them really well as a kid, but I would definitely emphasize those three things if I was to go back and talk to my 10-year-old self.
Nice. So I think when I think about leadership, you don't necessarily have to be in a leadership position. You don't have to be given that position to be a leader. So I'll ask this question to all of you. We can just go down the line, starting with Mrs. Carter. What are some ways that we can better our leadership skills every day?
Absolutely. And that is a very good point. Leaders are leaders within themselves. They think and believe. It doesn't matter what position they have. There are leaders that are janitors in your school. There are leaders that are serving you in restaurants. So a leader is a person that internally has decided that I am going to do things to serve other people. I'm going to do things to guide others. I want, that's just how they act. And I know that growing up, I remember getting words of kindness, wisdom, and encouragement from various places. The usher at the church, the guy bagging my groceries in the store. And so, like I said, those are a leader internalizes that role, and no matter what they're doing, they are servicing others and pointing them in the right direction. Good leaders, that is.
Kind of piggybacking off of her, what we said earlier, leading by example, I feel like is probably one of the most leaders lead by example. I feel like, you can't go out and tell someone what to do or give people words of kindness or encouragement if you're not living that same life. So I feel like just leading by example, I feel like is like the biggest thing you can do, for sure.
I agree with you guys, and I would say what also is important is your habits, right? Day to day. Do you wake up and is your room clean, right? If you're walking by a piece of trash, do you pick it up? If you see people doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, do you lead by example? Do you revert to bad habits? So having good habits helps you become a better leader, and that can start with the simplest thing is making sure you're doing your homework. And that could be, when you transfer that over to the court, it is, do you do the same routine every time when you get to the free throw line, right? So your habits are vitally important.
Yeah, I mean, everything that everybody said is so spot on. I think the only thing I can maybe add is it's practice, right? So just like when you think about on the court, you're practicing your skills. We just saw the video, and you know what you can do to practice your basketball skills. You can practice your leadership skills. So you can practice, like people talked about, it's like what you do as a leader, right? What you do, because it starts within. So, if you were walking down the hallway of your school and you see some trash on the ground, are you gonna pick it up? Or are you gonna just walk past it, right? Or if you accidentally, drop something, are you gonna take care of it? I think it was Anthony mentioned, about clean your room, right? There's a leadership book where like a military general talked about, the first thing every day that he did as an act of a leader was to make his bed. Right. And when you think about that, it's just that repetition. It's being able to say, this is important. This needs to happen. And can I do that? And am I setting an example for others? Are you setting an example for your siblings? All right. And are you setting an example for your teammates and for your classmates as well?
That's good. Luke, you just tied in sport to leadership. I'm going to do something kind of similar. When I think I was also an athlete, and I think about when I was coming out of college, a lot of people used to say the fact that you are an athlete gives you a better opportunity to get a lot of jobs. People love hiring athletes, right? So how do you feel like sports, and we'll start with you, Mrs. Carter, again, how do you feel like sports helps develop these certain leadership qualities?
Oh, well, it's sports. I think sports is, it's an incredible life lesson. There are, and just to name a few quick things. You have to be committed to doing something that has been told to you to do, like how to shoot your layup, how to shoot a free throw, how to shoot a jump shot. So you have to commit to doing that over and over again. And if you can't do a left-handed layup well, then you have to do left-handed layups more and more. So the obstacles that come in your way, just like in life, the obstacles will come into you. It come across your path, things that you can't do. But through practice and working on the things that you are better at, then when the obstacles show up, you're able to then take them on in a manner that doesn't do you harm. You can take on the situation without having a negative result because of the obstacle, because you know what it means to want to be able to do something and you can't, or to have some, or to want something that you can't have, but to continue to work at a goal and continue, it may be in the future, but I'm going to keep working at it. I'm going to keep digging at it. And if that's not like that, I mean, that's what we have to do. We keep practicing until the day comes, keep working, and just don't stop doing the right thing until the right thing happens.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of said it all. I don't think I really have to say anything else. I think that's a perfect way to put it. I mean, just living in the sports field, playing basketball all my life, I understand that it was a lot of days I didn't want to go to practice. It's a lot of days I didn't feel like doing anything in terms of basketball-wise, but I knew I wanted to be great. I wanted to eventually make it to the NBA. That was always a goal of mine. So me constantly doing things I don't want to do, but knew that I needed to do, kind of just transferred to my whole life. That's why I was saying at the beginning of the Zoom that if it wasn't for the NBA, I would still be a professional, because I lived a professional lifestyle. I was getting up every morning, eating my breakfast. I mean, I was probably 14, 13 years old. I was cooking my own breakfast. I was beating my mom to the car every morning. Like I established a routine and I continue to do it. So, like I said, it went from the court to my regular lifestyle. So yeah, that's really about it.
I would agree with both of you guys, and I would say that you learn to not be defined by your circumstance, right? Through sport, there's a lot of adversity, and it could be as simple as trying to become a better three-point shooter, trying to become a better ball handler, right? But the most important thing that you'll continue to learn, even at all of you guys' ages now, is you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And I think for myself, that's something that I was able to pick up from, playing as a grassroots candidate, to going on and playing in college and becoming a professional, and understanding that every day things aren't going to go your way. And you're able to learn, as we talked about leadership. Leadership has to do with how you live your life, and you can't be defined by the things that happen to you. So I think sport did that for me, and it sounds like for everybody else.
Yeah, I would add to that when you're in the classroom, it's kind of like being on the court sometimes, right? In that you've got teams, you might do like team projects, or you might have small group projects that you do together. And when you're playing on the court, if you got a weak link on your team, and then your job is to be, how do I make sure that I'm not the weak link, right? And so it's the same thing that translates into the classroom. And guess what? It's the same thing that we experience in the work world, in the professional world after we move on. And that is, you want to put in that work, be that leader that we talked about earlier. So that way you're a motivating factor and a motivating force for the teams that you will end up working on long beyond sports, right? And so it's being able to develop those skills and realize how you can translate those skills that you have in sports right now into your classroom and into your family setting as well.
One skill I know for sure that I learned when I was an athlete is that I will never be late, because I do not want to go on the line. You will never see me show up late because I am not trying to run.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is the next question, and we'll start with Mrs. Carter again. And I know that Wendell will not be able to take her answer for this one. Who were your mentors growing up, and how did they help you develop as a leader?
Yeah, my mentors were my mom and my grandmother. And I was fortunate. My mom is still with me. My grandmother has gone on to be with the Lord, but I was fortunate to have great leaders in my family, with my mother and my grandmother growing up, because coming from a single parent home, the one thing you learn is to be independent. that is just something I think that comes with that environment, which is a good thing, I do believe. And in being independent, and my mother always wanting us to pursue education, because in our eyes and where we come from, that we believe that was the way out, is to be educated, to go to college, and just to keep getting educated, then the door is going to open. So with that, when I would go to class, and the reason I say it just dawned on me how I think about that must have translated over the years, because I just kept going to school. Got 2 degrees, I have my master's, but I love being a student. I still go to classes. I just enjoy being a student and learning things. And so I have to say that those were 2 of my biggest mentors, for sure.
For me, I guess keep it in-house. My mom, my dad. I was fortunate to have both of them in my life, and they were always there for me. And when I say that, I don't mean like not trying to sound like cliche about it, but my mom and my dad were like my best friends growing up. Me being the only child, I was seeing them and around them all the time, and they were able to guide me in a way, like I said before, of being a professional at a very early age. Growing up, they didn't really talk about going to the NBA. Like, I was a kid, that was always a goal of mine, but not until I was probably a senior in high school was when we first started to even talk about, you have a shot at making to the NBA. It was always, do you have all A's? Like, do you have the right grades? Because I wouldn't be able to play if I didn't have all A's. Like, literally, like, I was sat out of junior high school games because I didn't have all A's in school. So, they kind of instilled that in me, that education is very, very important. And even to this day, like my mom, I'm still reading, still taking classes, still trying to learn more, because I love playing basketball, I do, but it's gonna end at some point in my life, and I want to be able to have something fun or something I really like to do once I'm done playing basketball. And that's kind of what they instilled in me. And I also made a commitment to my mom that I would finish college once I'm at some point in my career. So yeah, that's really about it.
I really want to say this while we're on here, because it sounds like family is important. What I want a lot of you guys on here to understand is that you don't have to look to the outside world for mentors or, idols. It sounds like from these guys, it's right at home. And it's the same thing for me. My father, he held me accountable. My mother showed me unconditional love, and it was never really about the sport, right? They just wanted me to live my life the right way. My grandfather, who's 93 years old right now, he has the same routine that he's had growing up in Columbus, Mississippi. Now lives in Flint, Michigan, and he's my idol because he takes care of his family. He has great habits. He's a leader. And, a lot of their habits rubbed off on me, and I wouldn't be sitting here right now if it wasn't for them. So I would say, my mom, my dad, and my grandfather.
So for me, it was coaches, and primarily my high school basketball coach. So I did play basketball, and maybe he mentored me because he realized I didn't have the skills to keep playing basketball. but no, he, I just, to the last point, like I had a tough kind of, childhood, I guess you could say, and just didn't really have the support in-house that I think I needed to grow. And my coach, man, he encouraged me so much, to be that leader, both, in basketball, but, so much more in school. He was also a teacher at school and would check in on me, make sure I was doing what I needed to do in the classroom. And just encouraging me to think even beyond what I saw. And that's something I tell you, that if you have that opportunity, if you have that person that can speak life into you and encourage you even beyond your current circumstance or beyond your current situation, hold on to those people. Like, ask those people to keep pouring into you, to ask them for advice, because it's that kind of love and that kind of mentorship and guidance that can really take you anywhere in life.
Awesome. So obviously you guys all do different things in the world. So what do you strive to do as a leader in both your personal and professional lives?
Personally, I strive to lead myself to be more, more persistent and more organized. And that is something, those are skills that I just want to be more, be led more properly in my life, because and I giggle at that because if we do not take charge of the areas in our lives where we're weak, if we do not address those areas and take charge of those areas, those will be the small foxes that ruin our big, beautiful vines. So I have, I'm learning to lead in some areas where I'm not so strong in. So that would be definitely a tip for those that, for those of you that are out there, because growing up, of course, you need to develop skills all sorts of places. But that thing that you are the most uncomfortable with, like Anthony was saying, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. But that whatever that thing is you're most uncomfortable with, you might want to tap into it a little bit and, you know, understand what it is about it that makes you uncomfortable. And because I find that happens to a lot of kids in the classroom. They may be a little uncomfortable with science. You may be a little uncomfortable with math. When you're uncomfortable, sometimes that's the area you need to press. That's where you need to press forward. So don't let discomfort discourage you.
Yeah, I feel like for me, on the personal side, you know, like my mom said, just trying to make my weaknesses my strengths. You know, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. You know, that's kind of where I'm going personally. You know, and then professionally, being in the NBA, being a very young player in the NBA. You know, just trying to lead by example, so that no matter the age, you know, I can still be a leader for my team. You know, my team is relatively young as I am, but I feel like that I can be a really great leader to my teammates, to my coaches, to the staff members for the Chicago Bulls. So, you know, that's something I'm striving for. It doesn't happen overnight, of course, but you know, just learning everybody's egos, learning everybody's way of life, so that I'm able to tap into their life, so they can understand my leadership and my leadership role. Because I feel like I'm a great person. I live life the right way, and I feel like, you know, I feel like I'm a great leader that can lead by example. So that's kind of what I'm striving for, to where my teammates and my peers will look up to me.
I would say in my personal life, right now for me, it's a lot of accountability. Right? I try to hold myself in high account for the simplest things. If it's, you know, making sure that I'm cleaning up the house, or making sure that I pay my dog attention, because that's a simple thing. Because we all look at, you know, life as being, you know, so gratifying and doing the things that really don't matter. But for me, the simple things matter. In my professional life, I would probably say being able to serve. You know, it's not about me. I've always tried to build genuine relationships and not have transactional relationships. So to me, serving is about pouring my heart and my soul into my clients, right? And getting the best out of them, and also living my life the right way. So it's always about serving and giving. And, you know, I learned that from one of my coaches at Liberty University, who actually taught me that, you know, we should do things for an audience of one, and that's our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So for me, it's about serving.
Yeah, I wanted to say first, you know, Wendell said it earlier, you know, of being comfortable, being uncomfortable. That is a word right there. That is good information, and take that to heart. Make sure you write that down, because that's good stuff. For me personally, I'm trying to just be the dad to my kids and the husband to my wife that they all need me to be. I mean, kind of bottom line for me, you know, just like when people were talking about their mentors and talking about, you know, having their family, you know, family members being mentors. That's what I want to do for my kids, man. So I'm trying to do that every single day. Remote learning makes that more and more challenging. But we working through it. We working through it. But professionally, listen, I love education, and I love the opportunity for people to learn. And so I'm trying to be a voice in the industry. There's a lot of challenges and changes coming to college sports. And I want to make sure that student athletes are getting educated, that parents and families are getting educated. So I'm constantly trying to be an expert at what I do so that I can share information and share education with others.
Love it. Love it. Just a reminder for everybody that is attending, if you're a participant, you can ask questions. There's a Q&A section. You can put your question in there and we will ask them after we are finished with our panelist questions. This question, when you think about a platform squared, and you guys described kind of what you guys are doing with a platform squared, you're really trying to impact people's lives. And so individually for each of you guys, what are some of your long-term goals to impact athletes and other people's lives?
That's a good one. Mhm. Wow. How would, yeah, how would I know or sense that I have made an impact in someone's life? I guess I would have to say that it would be through, the only way, like Anthony was saying earlier, the only way to serve, I do believe, in the environment that we are in, and probably would have done ourselves a better justice in handling ourselves this way prior to our new way of living, is not being so transactional, and actually relating to people. And the people that we want to service are people that we should be able to relate to very well. And then in that, the impact that we can hopefully make is educating and empowering them to make better choices, because at the end of the day, it's the choice that we make in every situation that determines the results we get later on. So, if we're helping people make better choices, and we're helping and providing educational resources and things that they can take with them, that they can always have, the knowledge that they can always have with them, then we're changing things.
Yeah, I feel like, you technically never know if you're actually making an impact unless you're living with that person every day. I feel like the only way to make yourself feel good about what you're doing is just, like I said earlier, leading by example and teaching the kids or anybody those leadership skills. I feel like me coming on here and telling the kids to do this, and this, but I'm not living that kind of way. At the end of the day, that doesn't add up. The kids will eventually realize, like, why are you telling me to do this if you're doing it the complete opposite way? So I feel like just me leading by example, and then continue to, whatever knowledge I learned, that I can pour over into the next person, and hopefully he can pour into the next person, and become a domino effect. I feel like that's what will make me feel like I've accomplished my goal. As long as I'm leading by example, doing what I'm supposed to do, like we said earlier, the NBA is a very well-known place around, a very well-known organization around the world, and we have a lot of role models in the NBA. And I feel like, just the way that, for example, LeBron James lives, a lot of kids want to strive to be like him. No, they don't want to be the best player in the league, but he lives the right kind of lifestyle. He take care of his kids, he take care of his wife, he just lives right. So, he kind of sets it up to where, as a role model, anybody can follow him no matter what field you're in.
I agree with that. I would say being able to motivate, right? Whatever you aspire to be, whatever you dream about, you can manifest, right? And for me, it's different. As Wendell talks about, he's an NBA player. I played in college and coached at the highest level, and now I'm an executive at a sports agency, right? And I want some of you kids to look at it in a different way, as there's other ways to get to the NBA, right? We sit here and we can go to any NBA game that we would like, and we're blessed to be able to work in this field, and it's obtainable. It is, right? So being able to, through my own life, walking the right way, showcasing leadership and my habits to be able to motivate people, even from where I come from, that you can be successful, even when the ball stops. But you can use that as a tool and a guide to the next phase of your life. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do.
Yeah, I'll be quick so we can get to the questions that you might have, but I'll just say briefly again, education for me is everything. Being able to share information and help others get educated on various topics. That's what speaks to me, and that's the impact I want to be able to have on people. And I would just say and encourage all of you, like, as you're listening, whatever interests you, dive into it and learn about it. So if it's basketball, be a student of not just the game, but the business side of the game, right? If my son loves Fortnite, and as sick as I get about him being on that Xbox, I'm like, listen, dude, this is a little magazine that talks about the business side of esports and e-games and things like that. So let's learn about some of the business just as much as you like to, get some V-Bucks to buy new skins. Like, listen, we're gonna learn about the business side of this thing too.
That's amazing. Okay, so we do have a few questions that are rolling in from all of the participants. And so we'll start with a question from, I believe it's Nasir Anderson, who said, Wendell, when did you first feel like basketball was what you wanted to do?
At a very young age, I was playing basketball. Probably my first basketball game, I was five years old. So, basketball was always a part of my life, but thanks to my mom and dad, like I said before, it was never the only thing. I looked at basketball as extracurricular. I was going to class every day, and that became my main focus. And then up until about my sophomore year of high school, I got ranked in the nation as like one of the top players in the country, and that's when I saw basketball as a way to become a professional. And thanks to my mom and dad, like I said before, I knew what it took to be a professional, and I dove right into it. Endless nights of practice, lots of games, lots of road trips to the game. So it became my goal, probably my sophomore year of high school, that I wanted to be in the NBA.
Okay. The next question comes from Makeda Mays Green. She says, how can kids go about finding a mentor such as you? And I believe that's probably towards Wendell.
Wait, say it again. I didn't hear the question.
How can kids go about finding a mentor such as you? Where can we find NBA players that will mentor us? That might be tough.
I would like to add this. Wendell probably is not aware of how to find a mentor, because for him, the mentors were on his path. The path that he was walking on, the mentor showed up. So I say that to say that I have no idea what path everyone is on, but there are mentors that are going to be on your path, but it is your job. And this is the tough part, even for young kids, because to be honest with you, I know everybody doesn't have mentors in their household. We know that as a fact just from watching TV, but there are mentors that are placed on your path: teachers, coaches, people that work in your community, and big brothers and big sisters of your friends. But you want to be mentored by someone that is on the path that you're seeking to be on. Because if you get mentored by somebody that's on a different path, you'll find yourself on that path. So remember to seek someone that's on the path that you desire to be on.
That's good. Oliver Cavell says, how many hours a day do you practice?
Growing up, I'm still young, but when I was a teenager, once school was out, I was probably playing basketball till about 9:30, 10 p.m. and I lived about an hour away from my school, so I wasn't getting home till like 11:30 midnight. So that was probably what, like 6, 7 hours. I would practice, I would work out, I would play one-on-one with some of my teammates. I would play 5-on-5 with, some of the kids from local schools and stuff like that after school. So that became like that became my routine. So then once I got to college, it kind of trickled down a little bit. It became more quality over quantity. I wasn't in the gym all the time, but when I was there, I was going hard as I can and walking out of there feeling like I got better that day. Then when I got to the NBA, it trickled down even more, more quality over quantity. We have 82 game season, so ain't no staying in the gym till midnight no more. I got to get home, get my rest, get ready for the next day. So, we usually have practice for like an hour 30 during the season. You usually get shots up before or after practice. And you get home, you rest your body because you got a back-to-back coming up. So it's all about time management now. So I would definitely encourage that, as a kid, I feel like, play, have fun, keep playing. But as you get older and older, just time management becomes a really, really big thing.
Time management is another word for your body is getting older. So you can't do that anymore.
That's funny.
Okay. Denzel Morrison Jr. says, what would you say to a child that is looking up to you and is inspiring to be like you when he grows up? That's for Wendell.
I think she did. Who's that?
Who's that from?
Denzel Morrison Jr.
Oh. That's DJ.
Yeah, that's DJ. I'm sorry. Can you say the question one more time?
What would you say to a child that's looking up to you and inspiring to be like you when he grows up?
It's kind of two things that I live on day to day that I would tell every kid to do. Live in the moment. I feel like a lot of people worry too much about their past or worry too much about their future. I feel like we don't do enough of living in the moment and enjoying the moment. Thanks to my coach at Duke, actually, Coach K, he actually taught me that. I was always, if I got a foul in the game, I was always mad for like 3 or 4 trips down the court. He said, Wendell, just live in the moment, man. Stuff happens, stuff will happen, but you can always control what's going on at that moment. So, that's something I would definitely say that is something you should live by. And the other thing is trust the process. Things don't happen overnight at all. I feel like if you dedicate yourself to one thing and you just continue to do it, it's steps. You don't just go straight to the top of the mountain. You got to take each and every step. And I feel like it just makes that, once you get to the top, it makes it so much sweeter after taking those every step to get to the top. So I feel like just trusting the process and enjoying it, I feel like it's something you should live by.
All right, we have about 30 seconds for the last question. I like this question. This is for Wendell. What was the largest struggle you had to overcome?
We had some struggles. For sure. Probably my biggest struggle that I've had to overcome is probably balancing academics with athletics. At a young age, it was definitely very difficult for me because academics I love school. I love school. I love going to school, but I wasn't always the brightest kid in the classroom. Like I said earlier, it was a process to it. And probably in my earlier ages, like I was saying earlier, my mom she made sure I had all A's before I could play basketball, and not all A's and 1B. Like I had to have all A's. So if I came home with 1B, I wasn't playing. So it was definitely really difficult to kind of balance those two things. But once I got a hang of it, it was all good.
Love it. Well, that's all we have, all the time that we have for questions. Thank you guys so much for asking questions. Sorry if we didn't get to your question. Thank you guys for answering all of the questions that I threw at you guys. I think I learned a lot, so hopefully everybody else learned a lot, and it was certainly a lot of fun. And now, Wendell, I'll give it to you for your closing remarks.
I know this is a very difficult way of having a camp. This is not what I envisioned at all. I'm hoping everybody's staying safe right now, taking care of your family, enjoying family time right now, as most of us are under quarantine. And I really appreciate you all coming out and supporting what me and my mom and my dad have going on in the Platform Square. And I look forward to seeing a lot of you guys in the future. Hopefully my next camp will be live. I want to be there. I want to meet everybody who's here. So like I said earlier, thank you again, and God bless.
Peace.